In the pits, Jack Arute is ready with a further update. Jack?
Paul, had another driver to the blister brigade. Michael Andretti came in, changed tires, a blistered right front. Now, what is a blistered front tire? You know, they say performance comes from where the tire meets the road. Well, as you can see here, it begins to bubble up. It literally begins to tear right off the carcass. You can't drive a race car with these kind of tires. And as you've alluded to, the only thing you can do is change the tires and adjust the wings. And that's what all the top teams are doing down here in these early pit stops. Back to you.
So everyone concerned with that situation over blistering tires. Now, not as much a dangerous situation as a handling situation. When that starts to happen, you know it immediately because the car no longer handles for you.
That's right, Paul. The front end just starts washing out. They just go slower and slower and slower. But more importantly than that, it upsets the whole game plan for the rest of the race. Now they have to recalculate and reevaluate what they're going to do the rest of the day.
48 miles are complete. Rick Mears has led right from the green flag. Danny Sullivan has chased him from the same green. Al Unser Jr. has managed to move up into third place. Mario Andretti is now running in fourth. Raul Boisel, with an excellent run for the Shearson car, is now running in fifth place. Let's go to the pits, Brian Hammond.
Paul, the Newman Haas team has made Mario Andretti very much aware of the problems other drivers are having with the blisters. Now, Mario's trying to conserve his tires by taking it a little bit easy until his first scheduled pit stop somewhere around lap 73. So he's hoping to keep his tires from blistering until his first scheduled stop. Paul?
Well, depending on the, well, there's Mario Andretti's situation, which has not been pleasant with regard to his oval runs. And so many times, Sam, we've seen Mario look as if he has hands down the race. It belongs to him. And then luck as a factor comes in.
Mario's career, Paul, has been so long that it really makes you wonder if luck hasn't balanced out, however, through all the years. He was lucky in some respects, I think, when he won the World Championship. He's been lucky at other times. It's just been, it seems as if, especially at Indy, which is focused upon so much by so many people, that Mario has been unlucky.
Well, our championship battle continuing to be affected here as Emerson Fittipaldi now for the second time comes in. Again, it's a tire change as he tries to find something on the car that will work for him. He wiggles the car back and forth as he leaves, scrubbing the tires further.
See, here's a case of a car and perhaps a team which just cannot get their setup right at all. When this tire begins to blister, incidentally, it's no mystery to the driver. I mean, you feel it, Bobby, don't you, with the vibration. You know you've got a pit. There's no question of continuing with it.
Instantly, and it's just a problem of not having the car set right into the new wings.
With 53 miles complete, Rick Mears is still the leader, followed by Sullivan, Unser Jr., Andretti, and Boisel. And the championship fight remains the same. We'll be back with more right after this. Danny Sullivan comes in for Penske service. The crew falls on that car. 3 tires changed immediately. But again, that precision drill of the Penske team we have seen so many times before. In just 12 seconds, Danny Sullivan is back and rolling once again.
Well, it's obviously that he had tire problems. He fell back for a while, he got up for a while, but I think maybe Rick might be having problems right now.
Well, the team has also laid out the equipment for Rick Mears, who is already on the pit road and making his run now for the first of what should be 2 scheduled stops. The leader right from the green flag now will, in all likelihood, give up the lead, at least for a time, as they cycle through the pit stops.
He's got to be having tire problems, too, my guess is, Paul, because he's in the pits too early.
So Rick Mears makes his stop. Again, the crew right on top of that car.
We're on lap 58, Paul. It was thought they would go to at least lap 70 to 73, somewhere in there before they stop. So this is a preliminary one, but an early one even for the Penske team. But I think they can still get through the race with just one more if the rubber builds up on the track and the tire problem is ameliorated. Look, there he is, Rick Mears dicing with Al Unser Jr.
As he comes back into the traffic, he comes alongside Al Unser Jr., who is in fact the leader of the race. But of course, with that stop and the length of the run in and the run out, they actually enter and exit the pits on the back stretch here. Rick has actually fallen a lap behind.
Let me give you a sense of the mood here. It is heavily overcast. The entire perimeter, the horizon as we see it, has what could be rain clouds on it, and they could move in, I mean, at any moment. So there's a sense of tension here quite beyond the developments on the race, on the track itself. Remember, you must complete half the race distance plus 1 lap. In this case, it means 101 laps for the race to be official. And part of the strategy may depend right now on whether the crews think it's going to rain.
Well, with the stop by Rick Mears and Danny Sullivan. Al Unser Jr. is pulled forward and now occupies the front spot of the field, chased by Mario Andretti and Raul Boisel. But of course, those cars have not made their stops, and it should go back to the order it was, except for the factor of how fast those pit crews do their work when it comes time for both Mario and Little Al to stop.
Well, in this case, too, it's how much time extra beyond the refueling and changing of tires did they take to adjust the front wings. Now, Rick Mears' stop was longer by several seconds. You see Little Al Unser there. He is leading the race right now. He has won 3 races so far this year. If he was able to win or even just be second in this race today, it would do an immense amount for his title hopes, because his team they didn't qualify well, and they didn't expect to do that well on this track. They qualified 6th. He was looking forward to the next 2 races, which are road races. Right now, he's looking incredibly good in the championship.
Well, this is great fortune for him in the Rick Gallis mount, the number 3 car. In fact, if the season were to end at this moment, Al Unser Jr. currently leads the points, followed by Danny Sullivan, Bobby Rahal, Mario Andretti, and Rick Mears has bettered his position as he slides up as well. Then Emerson Fittipaldi. Let's go to the pits and Jack.
Well, Paul, tires, tires, tires. That's the name of the game here. Rick Mears and Danny Sullivan, blistered right fronts as well. See if we can get a quick word with Roger Penske. Roger, the blistering problem, you didn't anticipate that. Everybody's got it. What have you done to your cars?
Well, we came in, that was our minimum that we wanted to come in on, and Rick said the car's a little bit loose. We had just a small speck on the tires, so I think we're going to be all right. We're just going to adjust pressures on this set.
When you adjust the pressure, you also are going to adjust a little bit of the driving style as well, and maybe try to conserve the tires?
Well, I think Rick's the guy who's conservative. He knows that we might have a problem, but I think they look all right now.
Well, that's the story from the Penske pit, but as we've said, every team that's come onto pit road has had at least one blister tire, namely the right front. Back to you.
And another team has made their presence on pit road as Mario Andretti in the 6th car stops. But look at this. Al Unser Jr., just a slight display of smoke at the back of the car. Bobby, this isn't a routine roll into the pits for the leader, Al Unser Jr.
No, his pit stop, 67 laps, Paul. It's right on time that way, but I think he's coming in too slow. He's got some sort of a serious problem. If he's smoking, he's either got an engine gone or a transmission.
Serious? It could be terminal. Let's go to the pits and Brian Hammonds.
We're trying to get some comments from Rick Gallis. He says, no, let's see what's going on here. Here comes Little Al rolling into the pits. He's not under power. There is no power from this car. Rick, what's the problem?
I think the engine blew.
Blown in? Little Al is done for the day, Paul.
It's obvious, and he knew it right from the get-go. He climbs out of the car.
I hate to see this, Paul, because it could be decisive in the championship. And with tomorrow coming up as the 100th anniversary of the birth of T.S. Eliot, the great American poet, let me just quote one of his famous lines: "Not with a bang, but a whimper." I hate to see Al go out this way.
No points for Al Unser Jr. Now riding over Raul Boisel, who is in the 30 car and is the leader of this race. The Shearson team has to be excited that this young man, who has struggled so hard this year to get the team going, get the car up to speed, is now running in the lead here at Pennsylvania International. The young Brazilian, one of the nicest men that you'd ever like to meet in the sport. Extremely quick and extremely good with a championship in the world endurance cars. By the way, Teo Fabi now runs in 2nd place as a result of this situation, and he hasn't finished in the top 5 since June of 1984 when he was 3rd at Portland. But now the 30 car heads for pit service from Team Shearson as Boisel, the leader, brings it in, and Teo Fabi should in fact be next to take a look at a pit stop, and that, as suspected, would bring Rick Mears back to the front of this field.
We have just a lot of problems today. They turn the engine at a lot of RPM. The track is very fast. Let's go down to Brian in the pits right now. Brian?
We're with Little Al, whose day was just ended. Al, was it a blown engine?
Yeah, the motor blew up on it.
Were you having tire problems? A lot of people were having blistering front tires. Were you having that same problem?
No, I wasn't having any problem with the tires at all. Rick was calling me on the radio, and he said that Immo did one, Rahal did one, and I don't know why Mears came in. Mears may have had a tire problem also. I don't know, it looked like Danny also blistered the tires because he was going real slow. But my car was working good. Once Rick said something about the tires, I started being real careful in traffic because that seems to be what's doing it. You know, you lose all your downforce behind another car, and so, but
This really hurt your championship chances. The last 6 oval races. Let's go back to Paul Page.
Well, the Porsche contingent has to be happy as well as we watch Teo Bobby rejoin the action from his stop, because that car ran 1 lap in the lead when Boissel came into the pit. So the Porsche contingent at least proves that they now understand the tactics and can get up to the front.
It's interesting, though. This is Porsche's 14th race in IndyCar racing. And, of course, they have yet to win. When Chevrolet made their entry into IndyCar racing, they managed to win their 14th race with Mario Andretti, I believe it was, back at Long Beach in 1987.
So now Rick Mears reassumes the lead, again followed by his teammate Danny Sullivan, then Mario Andretti. We'll be back. 77 miles now complete at Pennsylvania International Raceway. Rick Mears leads it. Danny Sullivan is second, followed by Mario Andretti. Raul Boissel with really an excellent spot and stop for his car. Dropped from the lead only to 4th place. Teo Bobby dropped only to 5th place. Andretti is now 6th, and 7th is Roberto Guerrero. Fittipaldi is 8th. John Andretti up to 9th, and Scott Brayton is running 10th. But Rick Mears is the dominant factor here. You know, they constantly look for new technology, ways to go faster or at least understand better. Earlier in the week, Brian Hammonds looked at one of the new pieces of equipment.
The only way to tell how well a car was working on the racetrack was with a stopwatch. Well, nowadays, things are much more high-tech. Take, for example, the latest tachometer. It not only reads the number of revs the engine is turning, but it also records them. And if a driver or chief mechanic wants to find out what revs the engine was turning on a particular lap in a particular corner, the information is right at your fingertip. This data is very important in determining just how well the car is working and how much might be left.
Well, Bobby Unser, a tachometer that records the revolutions at every point on the track. How can that be helpful to you?
Well, the car owners and mechanics, they need to know how tight the engine is turning, Bob. The driver can't watch that tach when they're going 170 miles an hour around a track like this. So they need some sort of a device to tell them what it is. And